Mr. Jafari, you are one of the few pilots who tried to shoot at an UFO. And can you tell us what happened when you are in the air and you have seen for the first time an object you could not explain? How looked it like?
Well, actually, something around the midnight, some people saw it above the city and they reported to the control tower of the airport, and after all they find out it's true and they saw it by themselves. So they asked us to take off. The first airplane took off, and after 10 minutes or so I took off. The first plane followed it, and when I took off he said he can't reach it even with the over the speed of sound, and I told him to come back. On the way back, when he was coming, again we saw it on the middle of both of us. When I saw it, it wasn't a thing that I could see. It was some lights flashing, green, amber, blue, and red. These four colors was flashing from four sides of an object which could not be seen by itself. However, after a few minutes, when I was looking straight ahead and going through it, toward it, it all of a sudden jumped out about 10 degrees to the right, which I couldn't imagine how fast it was. And when I'm now thinking, the acceleration of the movement and also the G was taking of that movement. However, each time I was pointing the nose of the aircraft toward this thing, after a while would jump another 10 degrees to my right, until about 70 degrees turn. We had little by little turn to have it on the nose, and also I was climbing and going forward to it. I asked the radar, the control tower, if the ground, the airport radar has it inside. They said the radar is not operational at this moment. So my back-sitter, he told me that I locked on. I told him to brake lock and paint it very perfectly with the movement of the antenna upward. So I found out that it is above the horizon, so I was sure that it is the object, not anything else on the ground probably. So we locked on it. It was now 26 miles away us, and we figured out, we calculated the altitude was 33,000 feet. So I didn't pull up the nose too much to let the aircraft go forward also, because I find out that I have 150 knots closer airspeed. So after a while again, I was looking at it, and also inside the radar. This time when I looked at the radar, we were close to 25 miles, which it means 1 mile we got closer. And all of a sudden, by the chance of course, I was looking at the radar, I saw it jumped back about 2 miles and went to the 27 miles and stopped there. It was something unusual to have such a thing flying above that altitude and doing all these things. So all of this, between all of this wandering, I saw a round thing which was bright, about half of the size of the moon, and moving downward, came below the horizon, and from the below the horizon it started to come toward me. I was really scared at this time. I thought maybe this is going to be a missile or something that they launched toward me. Well, the radar was locked on the main thing, so it couldn't be used for this one, because that could take a long time to break lock from that one to lock on this one, and plus that if I could think that it's a missile, that was no use for it. So the only thing I thought, I said maybe I use another kind of the missile to shoot at him. So when I selected the missile, by the time it was coming from the below horizon toward me and upward, when I looked to my missile panel to see if the missile is selected or not, I saw all of the instruments are fluctuating, and plus lots of statics in the radio hearing, and there was no lights inside the missile panel. So I knew there's no use for none of these things. And to jump out in case of the collision with the second thing, which I would think that maybe it's a missile, it was very dangerous, because if I would jump out in that direction, I would come down with the parachute right inside the blast. So I made a left turn to get away from the direct collision.